Today. Patrick Johnson here. The advanced regenerative medicine solutions at QC Kinetics can give you a life without chronic joint pain. You can do all those summer activities that you used to enjoy. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in taking healing properties from your own body and applying them right into your achy joint, so your joint tissue can be repaired and restored naturally. This treatment is truly revolutionary. Patients across America are having life-changing results, and there's no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. If you have pain in your knees, back, shoulders, hips, you need to stop what you're doing and call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can give you your life back. That's 252-765-PAIN. 252-765-PAIN.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
I'm in the studio with my friend Sproul Alexander, who is the Senior Vice President for Town Insurance. And Sproul, people keep coming to Town Insurance. Tell us why.
Henry, it's really simple. It's because of our insurance knowledge, our product choices, our ability to service our clients, and our community involvement.
That's true. We see Town Insurance everywhere. But now let's talk about the choices. What kind of choices are there? What kind of insurance do you handle for people?
Our choices are endless. No matter what kind of insurance that you may need, we can handle it for you.
And we're talking about business, we're talking about health insurance, we're talking about home and auto, the whole gamut.
Yes, sir.
All right, so folks, come to Town. That's Town Insurance. And tell us the telephone number they can reach you.
252-756-8300.
And the website?
Towninsurance.com, town with an E.
Got to put that E on the town. Folks, now is the time to come to Town. Town Insurance.
94.3 WRHD HD1, Farmville, Greenville.
Are you sure this is legal?
Hear the Pirates play no matter where you are.
I don't know.
94.3thegame.com. Do you live ECU? Do you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 94.3thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igoe.
All right, welcome into the show, Hoist the Colors, Monday, June 5th. Unfortunately, the East Carolina baseball season has come to an end. The Pirates lose in the Charlottesville Regional. They drop an 8-3 decision on Sunday night, led for most of the game 2-1, before giving up 7 runs on 3 homers over the final 3 innings as Virginia's scary offense finally woke up. Still a tremendous season for East Carolina baseball. They end up finishing the year with 47 wins, one of the highest win totals in program history. But, of course, one step shy of Omaha. I've got several thoughts to share with you over the next hour. We asked for your responses on social media. We will get to those as well. Philip Pilkington is in the 94.3 The Game studios. And, Philip, we knew it was going to be a challenge heading up to Charlottesville against the national seed in Virginia. East Carolina definitely showed well over the weekend. They proved why they were the number 2 seed, and honestly probably could have been a 1 seed looking at their overall resume, and I think they went toe-to-toe with Virginia for the most part, but just the Cavaliers were a little bit better at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is there are so many good teams. I guess that is also the fortunate thing, but when you run into a team like that, you just have to be perfect, and obviously East Carolina was more than capable of hanging with them, with beating them, but the Pirates were not perfect this weekend. In order to play and beat a team like Virginia, and we would have had to have beat them twice one way or another, whether that was beating them on Saturday and then coming back and beating them Sunday, or, barring them not losing to Oklahoma, which I don't think they would have done in that Sunday in the Sunday morning game, sorry. You've got to be darn near perfect, and unfortunately East Carolina was not this weekend.
ECU, look, these regionals, especially when you're the road team, it often comes down to if you're trying to take out the host, you've got to win that Saturday night game. That is the de facto championship game. And the Pirates lost a one-run baseball game where, look, there was a lot of hard outs that would have been home runs if the wind was blowing out, but it was blowing in. And at the end of the day, Ethan O'Donnell for Virginia in a 1-1 game got a cutter in on his hands, just basically blooped it into the outfield for an RBI single with 2 outs, and that was the difference in the game. That was basically the end of ECU's season. They weren't going to give up, but realistically, coming out of the loser's bracket on the road against the national seed was just probably not going to happen unless ECU just channeled, just some sort of unbelievable comeback. So that was the season, and really, that's baseball. Like, it comes down to one game in a regional format many times. That Saturday night winners bracket game, if you look at the numbers, 80% of the teams that start 2-0 win the regional, and I'm sure that's even higher if you're the host home team. So difficult end, and, we just it's always tough, Philip, because, I try to stay away from the Omaha thing. Everybody wants to talk about the College World Series, and I get it. It is the story. 33 appearances now without a trip to Omaha for ECU baseball. By far the longest active streak. By far the best baseball program that has never been to Omaha. But I do ask the fans, don't be sad because ECU didn't make it to Omaha. I think you'd be sad because you don't get to watch this baseball team, the 2023 ECU baseball team anymore, because that to me is the saddest thing. Making it to Omaha or not, that doesn't determine whether or not ECU had a great season. I'm sure there are fans out there that always want to go with the narrative, they choke in the postseason, they can't make it to the College World Series. No, you won 47 games. You still had a tremendous season. You had to go on the road against the national seed. You played well both games. You just fell a little short. So I'm sad because I can't see Lane Hoover, Carter Spivey, Garrett Saylor, probably Josh Moylan play at ECU again. And that's what hits me the most on this Monday as we kind of look back at the 2023 season.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I almost kind of feel, you mentioned the players are more sad. I mean, as happy as I was that we won the bowl game against Coastal Carolina, I felt that way the next day about never seeing Holton Ahlers put on an East Carolina uniform again, and that is exactly right here. So many leaders. You think of a guy like Lane Hoover. I mean, I remember when I was still in school, out in the jungle, out in the outfield, talking to Lane between every inning. So it's going to be weird not seeing him out in the outfield. You mentioned a few of the pitchers, and that really is the saddest part. And it's the fact that you also have to wait till February to watch another East Carolina baseball game. Don't get me wrong, I love basketball, I love football, but sometimes I wish all three sports went year-round, because when one sport is absent, it does make you miss that sport, and that is the most disappointing thing. I mean, obviously you want to get there, you want to win a World Series. I mean, you play the game to win the game, but the unfortunate thing is, I was kind of hoping that we would either host Duke next week, or I was going to get to make a trip down to Conway to watch us play Coastal, and unfortunately that's not going to happen.
You mentioned the bowl thing, and at least half the teams in college football that are playing, they get to feel good and with the win. They get to end their season with a win. In baseball, unless you are the team that is winning the College World Series, everybody else is finishing with a loss. So, of course, ECU coming up short of the College World Series, but still 4 straight years, conference regular season champions, 4 straight years of making at least to the regional championship. I always get asked, hey, what do we need to do to put ourselves in a better position to get to Omaha? Now, ECU as a program is in the best possible position it's ever been to get to Omaha. They are knocking on the door every single year. We'll hear Cliff Godwin address that later. Yeah, are there some things they could do a little bit differently? I would like to see them go, maybe add a couple of impact transfers, or at least try to at positions of need. Maybe do a couple of different things philosophy-wise. But overall, culture, coaching staff, it's not like they need to overhaul what they're doing. They just got to continue to knock at the door until it comes down, and eventually it will. So I tell you what, let's get to some of our post-game cuts. I was in Charlottesville, just got back this morning. We caught up with the seniors, the 3 seniors, Garrett Saylor, Carter Spivey, and Lane Hoover. We'll have those comments for you a little bit later. But Cliff Godwin, the head coach, was at the podium as well. This is his opening statement. Cliff Godwin, cut 1. Clark, if you could play that after the loss to Virginia.
It's always tough this time of year unless you're holding up the big trophy at the end and winning a national championship. And congrats to UVA. They're a really good team. Coach O'Connor, Coach Mack, their entire coaching staff and their players. They're a really good team. And it's a hard-fought game. 2-1 there late, and Lanigan pitched his tail off and just didn't execute one pitch, and the guy hits a 3-run homer, and then Spives, we intentionally walk a guy because he's better versus lefties. Kind of same thing happens. I mean, if we could have those 2 pitches back, I think we'd win the game. But that's baseball. It's a game of inches, and Starling, hits the ball just a little bit off the end it would have been a grand slam to tie the game. So I couldn't be more proud of these 3 guys and our team. What these guys have meant to me here, 3 fifth-year seniors. I don't have the stats in front of me, but they probably won more games at East Carolina than any players in ECU baseball history. 3 regional championships, 4 conference regular season championships, couple conference tournament championships. They've all graduated. I'm super proud of them. I'm sorry I couldn't do more to get them to the promised land and play in the College World Series, but these 3 are very special to me, and I love them, and I just thank our entire team for the hard work they put in on the field and in the classroom, and we're a little bit short today.
There's East Carolina head coach Cliff Godwin after the loss to UVA. We'll get to more of his comments in a second. Again, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Drop us a comment. We'll get to it throughout the show. Josh Betts, he wants to know, do we think Cliff goes slightly more to the transfer portal after seeing how effective it was for UVA, or sticks to his ways? Phil, this is a very interesting conversation. It's not like ECU has ignored the transfer portal. They brought in a couple of pitchers last year, Tyler Brott, Willie Lumpkin, and also Jonathan Childress from Texas A&M. Childress didn't work out. The other 2 had their moments, but we have not seen maybe impact guys from the portal. We saw Ben Terwilliger last year make some impact and certainly pitch well in the postseason late in the year. But you look at UVA, all 3 starting pitchers in this regional from the transfer portal. Their center fielder who hit the game-winning home run last night, transfer portal. And Brian O'Connor basically said, look, we're not going to build from the transfer portal, but when we have a need, we identified that and we went out and they went out and took 2 center fielders. O'Donnell won the job. You saw what type of impact he made. So I have to think if you're ECU, you see the impact Virginia got from the portal, which is a well-established program with a great culture similar to ECU, that the Pirates would maybe try and look into that portal a little harder.
Yeah, I think they will, but Cliff Godwin's going to stick to his core values, I think, up front, where he tries to recruit his guys, and then, kind of doing it the same way that Virginia does it. You're going to fill in the pieces via the portal. But Coach Godwin's a big culture guy, and the guys that he gets from the portal, whereas they will be talented, they will also fit his mold. If it's not a guy that he would have recruited coming out of high school, I'm not talking about that from a talent standpoint, but from an attitude standpoint, then he's not going to recruit that kid out of the portal. So I think it's a little bit of both. Yes, he is going to stick to his ways, his mindset, but he understands that the portal is very much part of college athletics here in the year 2023, and he will use that to his advantage when need be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You got to find the balance, and I just would like to see ECU maybe try a little bit more to try and find that balance, because even, O'Connor said, look, I just found his comments interesting after basically they won the regional. He was like, look, our high school recruiting and development will always be the backbone of our program, but when we have a clear need, to me, like, I look at ECU's team, I see a clear need. They got to find a right-handed bat. They have to probably find a defensive upgrade on the infield, particularly at shortstop, I think, ideally this offseason. If you can find that guy in the portal to complete your team, I think you go out and do it. So I just would like to see the Pirates. I'm sure, look, they know the needs better than I do, so they're looking into it. And the NIL stuff plays a role too. Now, O'Connor did say he said they'll never go out and buy players. Who knows if they are able to use NIL to their advantage at Virginia. As far as baseball, I don't know. But certainly whatever they did worked. They're on their way to hosting the Super Regional, and they've got a great team. I mean, they're an awesome team. So we'll see, but there's definitely a delicate balance to it, Josh. If you got a question, YouTube, Facebook, drop it. We'll get to it throughout the show. I'll tell you what, Phil, the guy who was dynamite last night for East Carolina was Zach Root, a freshman in that role. He looked like he belonged, and I think that's a great sign. Because I look at next year, I see Treya Savage and Zach Root anchoring this rotation, and that's a heck of a 1-2 punch if it kind of looks like it does on paper.
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, unfortunately, Zach got pulled there because I think that Godwin did not want him to see Geloff a third time, which I understand that. But that moment, like you mentioned, did not look too big for him. He looked very calm, composed on the mound. Obviously, he did not have quite as much command with that breaking ball as we would have liked to have seen. He walked a few guys where he couldn't get that breaking ball down in the zone, particularly against right-handed hitters. But overall, he pitched well. He pounded the zone with his fastball, and when something didn't go his way, his demeanor didn't change on the mound, and I really liked that, especially from a freshman. That was a hostile environment last night. You're not just on the road in a regional. You're going against a national seed in an ACC program that yet might not be quite the atmosphere of Clark LeClaire Stadium, but it is still a pretty good atmosphere up there. It's a team that won a national championship just 8 years ago, and calm, cool collective from Zach Root. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to get the win. He did get the no decision as he was not charged with the loss either, but I thought a phenomenal outing from Zach.
Cliff Godwin spoke about Zach Root's performance after the game. This is cut to Coach Godwin talking about the freshman's outing.
I'm going to be honest with you, I knew he pitched well. That's no disrespect to UVA, but in my mind, it's big game Root. Sometimes he doesn't pitch good when it's not a big moment, but you talk about the first weekend we're behind, and he comes in against George Washington, and he's just mowing guys down, and then he closes out a game in front of 6,000 the second weekend against North Carolina. The bigger the moment, for whatever reason, as your adrenaline gets going, the stuff's good. You still got to work hard. These three guys will tell you, but we love him. But if he learns how to work like these three guys.
All right, there's Cliff Godwin talking about Zach Root, and I think the future is extremely bright for Zach, left-hander. He was up to 95 last night, which is a heck of a performance from the freshman lefty, and I think he'll be a strong pitcher in the future. All right, Cliff Godwin was asked kind of what he will remember most about this 2023 ECU baseball team. We're going to talk about that on the other side with some of you guys on Twitter, but here was Coach Godwin, cut 3. Clark, his response to what he will remember most about the season.
That it was never easy for us. What we went through, the injuries from Starling missing time, Mullen missed a couple games, JC missed 2 weeks, Wilcoxon, missed the Houston weekend, Savage missed time, Miss Saylor missed 5 weeks, and our guys just kept grinding. I don't think the country probably respected us as much as I respected us, because we had 45 regular season wins, and even if we won the conference tournament, the NCAA wasn't going to let us host a regional, which not real sure how that happens, but what they did was special, because it wasn't easy. They did it the hard way, and had to come from behind. We weren't winning the conference like we have the past couple. We had to come from behind and sweep USF on the last weekend, and they did that. So, and lost game 1 of the AAC tournament, and most teams that would have been in our position, you're already in a regional, would have just packed it in, and those guys got to the championship game. Nobody had ever done that before. So that's what I will remember about this team and these guys, is that they never quit.
And Coach Godwin, of course, addressed the fact, of course, the 3 seniors beside him, who were Lane Hoover, Carter Spivey, and Garrett Saylor, had just played their last game in an ECU uniform. Somebody asked kind of the legacy they leave, and he also talked about the elephant in the room, Omaha, ECU not getting to Omaha despite their 33rd NCAA appearance. But a classic quote he gave us, as he often does in these press conferences. Here is Cliff Godwin talking about the 3 seniors and the impact they leave.
I don't know, Chip. Most wins ever in ECU baseball history in 5 years. But as good a baseball players they are, they're better people. And that's the thing I say every year. That we do it the right way. We don't cheat. We do it the right way. And we're going to get there. It's just hard until you knock that door down, but I tell you what, we'll be good out of it. It just ain't come down yet. And when it comes down, it's going to be a flood of purple and gold to be in Omaha, I can tell you that. It's like
There's Cliff Godwin beating the crap out of the door, Philip, to get to Omaha. And they really are. I mean, again, people want to complain about this program can never get to Omaha, but I still stand by the fact that they're in the best position they've ever been. It just hasn't happened yet. I mean, that's just how it works sometimes. Like you just don't roll the dice and get a magic formula. It's just going to happen one day, and as long as they keep putting themselves in this position, it will happen.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this last week now that college baseball is as deep as it's ever been. There's more Omaha caliber teams than there's ever been, and only 8 get to go. And unfortunately, you need to be one of those, anywhere from 15 to 20 teams that's talented enough. But unfortunately, you need some luck on your side. And, we talked about the Super Regional down in Lubbock back in 2016 with the ball bouncing off the mound and going right to the second baseman. We were just 90 feet away. The Pirates have just not had that luck. And unfortunately, as bad as it sounds, because sports are about talent and are about being the best, but just because the talent is so evenly distributed, you need some luck. It's the same thing, getting to the Final Four. It's the same thing, winning a Super Bowl. It's all around sports right now, and that's what makes them so exciting, and that's what's going to make that trip to Omaha when it finally happens just that much sweeter.
Exactly. I mean, I think you said it well there, and when it does happen, it'll be awesome. My advice is just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the teams for what they are. Don't always make it Omaha or bust. Just enjoy ECU baseball. The experience it is, the joy it brings, being out at the ballpark, everything ECU baseball is. It is you go to other places when we travel on the road, even to this Virginia regional. It was a great atmosphere, but it's nothing like Clark LeClaire. ECU baseball is one of a kind, whether they make it to the College World Series or not. I mean, it's awesome as it is. It doesn't have to be an Omaha program to be an elite program, in my opinion. So enjoy the ride. Yeah, it stinks they came up short, but I'll always remember this team for a variety of reasons. And we will talk about your reasons why you'll remember this baseball team. We asked for your responses on Twitter. We'll get to some of that. We'll also share some comments from the 3 seniors who will be leaving the program after their eligibility is done, and Carter Spivey, Lane Hoover, and also Garrett Saylor. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game as we look back at the 2023 ECU baseball season. We'll have more for you on the other side.
Atavola in Greenville is your local marketplace. Atavola offers diverse menu selections, casual lunches, and family meals ready to go. At Atavola, they specialize in the creative use of fresh ingredients, seasonal menu selections, and fun culinary creations that will satisfy even the pickiest taste buds. Treat yourself to lunch or dinner at Atavola, and make sure to join them in the bar on Saturdays from 4 to 11 with friends to enjoy the limited menu that includes many of your favorites. Atavola, Red Banks Road, Greenville.
Hear 94.3 The Game anytime on the IBX Media app.
Is it free?
Yes.
The only app you need.
I love the app.
Download it for free in the App Store or Google Play and get to your favorite radio station in 2 clicks. All your sports, music, talk, and podcasts, including the latest from Stephen Igoe and Hoist the Colors, and year-round coverage from the East Carolina Sports Network. Listen live anytime, anywhere to ENC Radio's best.
I always listen.
Download the app.
The IBX Media app.
The year is almost half over and you're still dealing with that knee or hip pain? Enough is enough. Pills are not the answer. Surgery, not the answer. You need to call QC Kinetics today. Patrick Johnson here. The advanced regenerative medicine solutions at QC Kinetics can give you a life without chronic joint pain. You can do all those summer activities that you used to enjoy. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in taking healing properties from your own body and applying them right into your achy joint, so your joint tissue can be repaired and restored naturally. This treatment is truly revolutionary. Patients across America are having life-changing results, and there's no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. If you have pain in your knees, back, shoulders, hips, you need to stop what you're doing and call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can give you your life back. That's 252-765-PAIN. 252-765-PAIN.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health. which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Need $1,000 to $10,000 immediately for a gift for someone special, car repairs, or unexpected expenses? Time Financing Service offers competitive loan rates. Apply online and get your answer in less than an hour in most cases. Then you can pick up the cash at any of our 24 convenient locations. Apply online 24/7 at timefinancing.com. That's timefinancing.com.
Time Financing Service.
All loans subject to current credit policy of Time Financing Service. 1 hour loan approval and same-day cash in most circumstances. Exceptions may apply.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igoe. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into this Monday, June 5th, ECU Baseball Post-Mortem Special. 94.3 The Game. Pirates coming up just short in the Charlottesville Regional. Philip Pilkington in studio. Stephen and I go here. We are going to read your comments here shortly, kind of looking back at the season, what you remembered most and more. We got a few comments on Facebook and Twitter we'll get to here. And let's talk about those real quick, Philip, and then we'll get into these comments. David Richmond says the last time we lost a regional final was 2018. How many programs can say that? I mean, yeah, ECU has been to 3 straight super regionals. Of course, 2020 was canceled due to COVID. But a lot of teams would love to be in ECU's position. So I think that is important to remember. Josh Betts with another question. He says, in years past, Cliff Godwin has been mentioned for job openings. Is there an opening that might intrigue him this offseason? As of now, I mean, there's always going to be openings. I would say this, Philip, that there's going to be openings that want Cliff Godwin. It's just, I've always said, to me, like, Cliff Godwin is probably only going to leave for LSU or Ole Miss, if that. And, LSU, he was in the running a few years ago now and didn't get that job. They ended up hiring the Arizona coach. Ole Miss right now has Mike Bianco. If Bianco retires, I could see some worry there. I don't think he's going to Georgia, even though they may have interest, or Alabama. But your thoughts, Philip? I mean, I think it's just something we're going to have to deal with every offseason, but I don't think Cliff Godwin's going anywhere right now.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. We're kind of compare us to Gonzaga, right, in basketball, where, they have to wonder every year if Mark Few is going to leave, because every time a big-name job opens up, they're asking the same thing. But, I agree with you. I think it's going to have to be a top-tier program. That doesn't just mean a top-tier conference like the SEC. I mean, like you said, the Georgia job's open. I would not be worried about him taking the Georgia job. But as you mentioned, if something like Ole Miss were to open up, I could see it. But, Coach Godwin has, to me, always come across one of those guys of it's about the culture, it's about the results, and it's not about the dollar sign. I don't know, but it's kind of that same thing where, he always preaches culture in Pirate baseball. And I know all coaches do, but it seems like he might take it to another level. And I really do think he has unfinished business here in Greenville. And I could see him honestly not leaving till this team at least makes it to Omaha once.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Josh Betts also says, who gets a championship first, Cliff Godwin or Mark Few? It's a great question, Josh. I'm going to go, as far as national title, I'm going to say Mark Few, but you never know. I mean, ECU, once they get there, all bets are off. Richard Allsbrook says, I noticed UVA had a lot of portal pitchers. Is that going to be the new trend for all of college baseball? I just think the transfer portal is the new trend for college sports, and it's bled into college baseball, not as much as other sports, but it's getting there. Even before the postseason, there's a ton of players entering the portal, so I think you got to find that balance, kind of like Virginia has, kind of like ECU may try to, of taking a few transfers every year, but still developing talent, still developing high school players, that sort of stuff as far as recruiting. So I just think that's the norm now. All right, again, if you got any more comments, questions, drop them into the chat. We'll get to them. Let's get to some of these Twitter comments, Philip. I got it pulled up. I'll kind of read them, and we can both comment on them if there's anything worth commenting on. Dan says, and the prompt was what we remember most about the 2023 ECU baseball season. So Dan says, taking my son to experience a regional opening win and snagging a Jacob Jenkins Cowart liner. core memory created for him thanks to the team. So did you see this guy catching the foul ball, Philip? It was a heck of a catch.
I saw it on Twitter after. Unfortunately, when you're producing the game, it's a little hard to watch it because there is so much of a delay. And so usually I'm trying to, focus on my job and all that. And, usually I'll just put squeeze play kind of on in the background muted. But I did see the catch on Twitter, and that was one heck of a play.
Yeah, I mean, if I made a catch like that, I would probably tweet it out and pin it to the top of my profile because there's no way I could replicate it. So that was well done. He got a big cheer from the crowd in attendance. So definitely an awesome memory. John Moody says, oddly enough, he will remember the crazy Tulane series because basically all 3 games were in one day. That was probably the longest day of baseball coverage I've ever had, Philip.
I think it is. I mean, maybe we've had some regionals where there's been 3 games due to weather, but at least one of those wasn't an ECU game. So even if we were at the ballpark, we were just kind of sitting there, twiddling our thumbs, hanging out, watching some baseball. But the fact that we had to be engaged on every pitch for 2+ games was definitely the longest day I've had to do.
Cheryl Saylor, the mother of Garrett Saylor, I met this weekend. It was great to catch up with the Saylor family. She says all of it. The Saylor family has so many great memories on and off of the field. Thank you, Pirate Nation. We love you. And Garrett, hey, look, he did his job Saturday night. Philip, he gave his team a chance to win. And, 2 of the final outings of his career, pitching a regional 1-0 game, and then also the 8-inning gem he spun in the conference tournament. So Garrett definitely left his legacy on ECU.
He did, and that's all you can ask for as a player personally to go out. Now, obviously, these guys are way more worried about team goals than individual goals, so I'm sure he would rather have a crappy final outing and a trophy in Omaha. But, at the end of the day, when you look back on your career, you want to be able to say, hey, I went out. I went out there, I was shoving, pounding the zone, throwing strikes, and that's something that no one can ever take away from him. And unfortunately, his career as a Pirate has come to an end, but could you write it up to finish any better as a pitcher than having 2 outings like that?
No doubt, and leaving it all on the field. And even Carter Spivey, I know he got hit hard in the final appearance, but the dude pitched twice in one day. He was clearly on fumes, and all you can ask is to leave it all on the field, which he clearly did. And I tell you what, Clark, do you have those cuts ready? Let's play one of those cuts because Spivey, as he was leaving the field for the final time, he hugged Garrett Saylor. And Garrett Saylor was asked about it after the game. Those 2 seniors kind of shared a moment. Let's play Garrett Saylor's cut from yesterday's press conference.
Me and Spives, it's coming in as freshmen. We were the only 2 pitchers in our class. So obviously we're going to be best friends. We're going to be in each other's wedding. Coming off the field, I knew it could be his last outing. And I just hugged him, told him I loved him, told him I was proud of him, and to not hang his head because what he's done for Pirate Nation is unbelievable. His story. He faced a lot of adversity those first couple years as a Pirate, and last year he just kind of took off. And I know Pirate Nation can. We're just so proud of him and so proud of Uwe and so proud of everybody else. But it's Spaz is my best friend. Uwe's my best friend. But yeah, I just love him.
There's Garrett Saylor. I tell you what, nothing is more difficult as a beat writer than sitting through this press conference every year with the seniors. Cliff Godwin always brings the seniors when they lose the final game, and it's always extremely emotional. Let's go ahead and hit Carter Spivey as well here, Clark, and his cut. He was kind of asked about closing his career, and first 3 years struggled on the mound to find kind of a consistent role, and then had 2 great years to close out his time. Here is Carter Spivey putting a bow in his career in his final press conference.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. I think, all 3 of us have battled our own things in different ways, and I think that's what it means to be a Pirate baseball player. You embrace the adversity, you work through it, you get better, and I think the three of us up here can attest to that.
All right, there's Carter Spivey. We'll save the Lane Hoover cut for a little bit. I think we got a few more comments about the seniors as we return to your Twitter comments. Matt Slate says he'll remember this season. He says it's the most consistent lineup, top to bottom, we have had. They believed in themselves and each other, and we were never out of a game. They knew every game was going to be the opponent's best shot. Great student athletes and ambassadors for East Carolina University. And I know some people said maybe this wasn't the best offense ECU has had, but one thing they were good at, Phillip, is coming back late in games. And it even felt like yesterday, I thought off the bat that Starling ball had a chance to get out and tie the game with a grand slam. But you did feel like this team was never out of a game, even though they weren't the most explosive offense in ECU history, but they did kind of have a knack for the dramatic.
They did, and a lot of that had to do with the hitting being contagious. Unfortunately, it seemed like there were some games maybe like if they were down 3-1 with a couple innings to go, you didn't always feel like they had as much of a chance. But if they were down, say, 7-5, you really felt like they had a big opportunity. But yesterday, despite only being down 4-2, there was like this weird glimmer of hope in the eighth inning, and it happened. There was a couple weirdly played balls in the outfield, and it was like, is this the beginning of something you see out of a movie where the team comes back and in some dramatic fashion the outfielders are tripping over each other? And I thought the same thing when that ball left the bat. I was like, man, I guess that was ended up being a couple innings later, or the next inning. Was this going to be a grand slam? Yeah, they did, and like you said, I can't remember who made the comment, said that might have been the best top-to-bottom lineup. They showed a graphic yesterday, I believe it was for the first game on TV, that showed the Pirate hitters 7 through 9 in the lineup in this regional were like 7 for 11 in the first two games. I mean, it was crazy. Just when you're 7, 8, 9 can go out there and hit the ball the way that Joey Barini, Alec Makarevich, and Lane Hoover did, it really is special. And now I do want to actually make one point based off of comment we made earlier, but I just saw the stat flash up as I'm watching the Florida-Texas Tech game. When you said a lot of teams would give anything to be in ECU's position, Florida has actually not made a super regional since the last time East Carolina didn't back in 2018. They've hosted twice and not made it out of their own host regional, and one time gone to Lubbock and not made it out. So a premier program like Florida has not had anywhere near the success that East Carolina's had over the last 3 years.
It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, and all ECU can do is keep putting itself in this position to get there one day. Let's continue with your comments. Jansen Kidd says Josh Moylan's earth-shattering nuke over the scoreboard against Campbell, the away Pirate crowd in Chapel Hill, and seeing the new powder purple uniforms in person for the first time. He says he's proud of the boys. I'm still not a fan of the powder purples, Phillip, but look, if you're a fan of them, you're a fan of them. There's no middle ground. I feel like people either love them or hate them. I'm on the hate train, but I'm not going to say they shouldn't wear them. They can do what they want. But, man, I got to agree. Even though ECU didn't win the Campbell game, that Josh Moylan home run, he hit the absolute mess out of it, and that's something I'll always remember.
Yeah, that game reminded me of the midweek Carolina game from 2020. When it was 2021, where it was just electric. It was back and forth. Unfortunately, the Pirates did not come out victorious in that one. But, yeah, I remember sitting in the press box and looking over at you and Patrick Mason. It's like, I think that thing really did just clear the scoreboard. And I kind of had a gut feeling going into that bat. It's like, I think he's about to rip one right center. And sure enough, he did. And unfortunately, we didn't win that game, but what an electric game.
There's no doubt. It was one of the best games I've covered, win or lose. We'll get to a few more comments and take a break. Austin Voss says he will remember the senior rebounds. Hoover going from a cold start to one of the best hitters on the team. Garrett Saylor finding his ace stuff late in the season. Spivey reforming himself out of the bullpen. Charles Allen also says the three seniors and their impact in a great junior class as well. Before we hit our break, Clark, let's hit the Lane Hoover quote. Again, this was an emotional Lane Hoover senior, fifth-year senior after his final game. We'll hit his cut, and then we'll take our break. Here's Lane Hoover talking about his legacy leaving at ECU.
All I can say is that we gave it all we got, especially us three. And Pirate Nation was always behind us. And All I know is we're Pirates for life, and this team's going to keep on going up, and we're going to get there eventually. And I'm not sure when, but can't thank Pirate Nation enough. Like I said, we gave it everything we got.
There's an emotional Lane Hoover in his final press conference as an ECU baseball player. All right, let's get our second break in. We'll come back, continue with your comments and more as we look back at the 2023 ECU baseball season.
Chico's Mexican Restaurant is where the fiesta never ends. Grab your amigos and head to Chico's every Wednesday for shrimp tacos for $11.99. Plus Wednesdays means all Mexican imports for just $2.99. Thursdays, enjoy your favorite beef, chicken, or vegetable fajitas for only $11.99. For Mexican food and fun, it's got to be Chico's Mexican Restaurant in downtown Greenville and online at chicosrestaurant.com. Chico's, where the fiesta never ends.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Hello, Eastern North Carolina. I'm Matt Murchison here at Greenville Nissan. I'm along with Scotty Turner.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
I'm well, buddy. How are you?
Hey, this is awesome day, isn't it?
It is. And we got a great selection of inventory with some great specials going on.
We really do. We have something that we don't normally have over the last 3 or 4 months,
That's
Matt.
right.
We have Nissan Sentras in stock, which is plenty to choose from. Folks, they're not going to last very long, and I'm going to give you a couple reasons why. One, supply and demand. There aren't many of them out there. We're blessed to have some. Two, you're going to get more money for your trade right now than you ever have, even through the last 3 years of COVID. It's because of supply and demand. Matt, I know there's a lot of things you can tell us right now about lease payments.
Oh, yeah. We got a great lease special right now going on with the Sentra. We got a $0 down, $269 lease special right now going on the Sentra. Got a great lease special on the Rogue right now. No money down, $375 right there. The Pathfinder, no money down, $395. The Maxima, no money down, $375. It's a great time to come take advantage of these lease specials. Check out our website, greenvillenissan.com. Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Leases are 10,000 mile, 18 months, must pay tax, tag, title, and dock fee. See dealer for details.
Guten Tag, this is meine Auto. Und this is meine key. And I only trust one place with meine key. Meine Key Car Care. They are so transparent with e-inspection, which shows photos of the problem and the fix. Meine Key is my favorite part of America. And my second favorite part? The cowboys and the horses. Remember, I only trust meine Key with meine Key. Your one-stop shop for total car care.
At participating locations. Meine Key locations are independently owned and operated.
Pepsi Zero Sugar has a new, better flavor. A Zero Sugar Cola has never tasted this good. But we don't expect you to take our word for it, so we're putting it to the test. Starting with me. My mouth is watering already, so I think we can skip the drum roll and get right to the main event. Cue the fireworks. We have an official best Zero Sugar ever. It's delicious, it's refreshing, and it's so good you'll need to try it for yourself. Trust me. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Zero never tasted so good. That's what I like.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into the program. Monday, June 5th edition of Hoist the Colors. I wish we weren't sitting here doing a Remember the Season episode of Hoist the Colors, but that's what we're doing. Pirates falling out of the Charlottesville Regional with an 8-3 loss on Sunday night in the regional final. Virginia moves on. They'll be hosting the winner of Duke and Coastal Carolina in a super regional next week. But ECU season comes to an end, and we're reading your comments, Philip Pilkington and I, as we look back at the season and share some of your thoughts. And if you got any that you haven't sent us on Twitter, hit us up on YouTube and Facebook. We'll get to those before the show ends. Let's continue on, Philip. Blake Wise on Twitter says one thing he will remember most about the 2023 ECU Baseball Pirates is they played with a target on their backs the entire season, more than normal, and responded well. They fought till the end of every game, which was tough to watch at times. Laugh out loud, but proud. Yeah, and that's something we kind of have a theme of here. There was not a whole lot of easy victories, and Cliff Godwin said it best. You know, he said it was always tough. and whether it be injuries or other factors, there was a lot of close games, a lot of gray hairs, I think, for a lot of Pirate fans as a result of this season.
Yeah, there was, but we kind of hit on it earlier, the fact that this team never seemed to be out of a game, because when one hit or even sometimes one walk happened, it was able to turn this lineup around on any given day. Obviously there were a few days that it just seemed like they couldn't get the bats rolling, they'd only score a run or two. But if they were already at that 4 to 5 run, spot, they could easily score 4 or 5 more just in one inning, which made it fun, but also, like you kind of mentioned there, it made it a little rough.
Going off that thought, Tommy Clayton says they fought, and simple and short, they fought, and that's one thing ECU always will do. Undercliff Goblin. Matt says they just found ways to win. Offense would put up a bagel for 6 innings and then come alive at the perfect time. If the batting wasn't there, the pitching was. If the pitchers were having an off night, the bats stepped up. And yeah, that's how you end up with 47 wins. You find ways to win. That's what good teams do. Nick says the comeback against North Carolina in front of a sold-out crowd was a great game to go to. I assume he's talking about the home game, which was a record-breaking 6,003. But then the same thing happened a few days later at UNC, which I think was also a sold-out crowd, where, again, this offense didn't do much for, 7-8 innings, and then at the perfect time woke up. And, Pirate fans always love beating the Tar Heels, and those were 2 big wins, Philip.
They were. And, I was fortunate enough to attend both of those games. Very chilly afternoon at the Bosch, but the Pirate fans showed up really well for that one, as they did for that Friday night home game. And, I'm not going to lie, I grew up a Duke fan, so obviously my hatred for Carolina is just as big as anyone's on this earth. So anytime Carolina can get beat, it's a great day. When they lose to the Pirates, it's an even better day.
Man, does it just me, or do those 2 games feel like 5 years ago?
Oh, they do. I don't even feel like they were part of the season in a way. It's been a long year, in good ways and bad ways. But, games that happened in February, it's like, wow, I guess that it was only 4 months ago.
That's the thing, is it goes by quickly, but it also feels like it takes forever. Baseball season is 100% like that, because the games are so long. But then, the season, just flies by, because there's always games going on, if that makes sense. So, I'll tell you what, I'm sad it's over, because now what are we going to talk about for the rest of June and July? We got football season to preview, but now it goes so fast. Patrick Mason from the Reflector and I were talking about this leaving the press box yesterday. It's 100 miles an hour, and then when the final game completes, it comes to a screeching halt. And then, now I'm looking around, what are we going to do?
Yeah, the unfortunate thing, too, is, there's some OTAs going on in the NFL right now, but they're even kind of dead in June. Obviously, a lot of Pirate players will be getting our interest come the preseason for NFL, because that's kind of the one thing when college sports aren't going on. It's focus on baseball. Obviously, we got Alec Burleson, Gavin Williams, Connor Norby to talk about, but with the exception of those 3, right now, it is a little weird. It's like, man, what is going on right now?
There's no doubt. It slows down quickly. I guess we could always talk NBA Finals. Is that what the people want? Do the Hoist the Colors listeners want NBA Final discussion? Let us know.
I'm going to go on a limb and say no. Patrick has always told us, we're doing his sports update, just keep NBA out of the update. Not many NBA fans around here, so I'm going to go on a limb and say, if there was a Pirate player, if Tristan Newton is in the NBA Finals one day, I think, people are going to care, or Ezra Osar, but other than that, I don't think anybody cares.
Yeah, there's not a ton of NBA chatter on hoistthecolors.net these days either. So, we'll find something to talk about. And, all right, a few more comments here, and then we'll get our final break in. Zach says he'll remember how much they fought through adversity, injuries, delays, score deficits, etc. Yeah, there were a ton of injuries this year. Savage, missed time, Saylor. Obviously, Justin Wilcoxon missed the whole Houston series, and I don't think we realized at the time how important he was. Starling missed some time, wasn't 100% towards the end of the year. So you had a lot of guys that were key missed times that may have ultimately cost ECU a chance to host. Pirate 24/7, final comment here, I believe he says the sandwich incident, which is hard not to remember. As Josh Groves was suspended for an entire game for feeding Jacob Starling a sandwich, a Jersey Mike sandwich, after hitting a home run in the conference tournament. One of the more bizarre things, made national headlines. And I hope we never have to see something as big of a joke as that again.
I hope not. 2 weeks ago, it was ticked off. It's really funny now. I'm sorry. I know it stunk 2 weeks ago when it happened, but looking back on it now, I mean, what do you do? It's funny. But everybody kind of mentions the injuries. What I'll remember about this season, and this kind of taking the other side of things, is all the guys who stepped up who maybe at the beginning of the year were counted out. Carter Cunningham had a starting role, but everybody said, oh, he won't be starting come March. He ended up leading the team in average. A lot of people did not think Joey Barini or Luke Nowak will play as big of a role as they did, and they did it before guys got injured, and then when guys got injured, even more of those guys stepped up.
Yeah, you're right. Joey Barini had an awesome year. Carter Cunningham, unsung hero, had a phenomenal final month of the season, and he's a junior. We'll see if he's back next year. A lot of question marks as far as the personnel going forward, and we got a question from Robert. Can we talk a little bit about the new conference teams next year, maybe who we know is coming back? We'll get it. I tell you what, let's take our final break. We'll maybe get into that discussion on the other side, preview next year a little bit. I'm going to write up a long preview on Hoist the Colors for our VIP subscribers for later this week, but we'll get into some of that discussion on the other side. We'll be right back. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Greenville's premier Uptown Concert Series returns.
Concert on the Common.
This year's acts include The Embers, featuring Craig Woolard, June 29th.
For more details and a full lineup of bands, go to concertonthecommon.org.
Greenville's premier Uptown Concert Series returns.
Concert on the Common.
This year's acts include the Leonard Skinner Tribute, Tuesday's Gone, July 13th.
For more details and a full lineup of bands, go to concertonthecommon.org.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Greeting friends of Eastern North Carolina. If you're looking for a great place to work with competitive pay and a multitude of advanced opportunities, Pitt County Schools is hiring. We employ over 3,500 people, and we're one of the largest employers in Pitt County. We are currently seeking teachers, bus drivers, school nutrition personnel, facility staff, custodians, clerical staff, and more. We offer advanced leadership opportunities to our educators and competitive pay for our skilled labor force. If you want to be part of a thriving school system that focuses on educating students, growing our employees, and promoting positive mental and physical health habits, we encourage you to become a part of our Pitt County Schools family to help ensure success for the future of Eastern North Carolina. To fill out an application, visit our website today at pittschools.org. That's pittschools.org. And remember, education is truly a team effort. Pitt County Schools. Live and lead.
I'm with my health insurance agent, Bill Jenkins. Bill is an employee benefits specialist and life insurance agent from Town Insurance. Bill, give us an update on Town Insurance here in North Carolina.
Town Insurance is a top insurance and employee benefits agency in North Carolina and ranks in the top 50s nationwide. We have primary offices in Greenville, Kinston, Wilmington, Raleigh, and now Charlotte.
And Bill, what are areas Town Insurance specializes in?
With our experienced account management team, we specialize in employee benefits, including group medical, dental, life, vision, disability, and voluntary options for employees. We compare these options with several of the best carriers in the market and assist businesses on benefit administration as well as employee education and enrollments.
And how can a business best contact you to review their employee benefits program?
Give us a call, 252-756-8300.
Call today, as the best time is now to come to town.
The Pirates play here. Arr! This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igoe.
Yes, that was so good.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into this Hoist the Colors Monday, June 5th edition. We got a few more comments to get through and a question in these final few minutes of the show. David Hamilton says excuses can be made. Missed pitches, missed catches, missed hits, host/visiting team. The only truth is Virginia was the better team, and they certainly were this weekend, David. And look, it helps to be playing at home, but Virginia is legit. They got about 5 or 6 professional hitters in that lineup. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they do some damage in Omaha. And then Theron Bell on Twitter, if I'm pronouncing that right, if I mispronounced it, I'm sorry, says all of it as far as what they'll remember. How Riley Johnson played center field with reckless abandon, daring to be great every fly ball. Yeah, he tried his best to rob that home run yesterday. He says how Carter Cunningham transformed his bodily, battling from sub to starter to all AAC. How Carter Spivey moved from deep on depth chart to player of the year, and ECU baseball season-ending hits different because of the Pirate Nation's passion. And that's the thing, Philip. It's hard to process because I think it's more about we don't get to watch this team anymore, more so than, it being a bust of a season because they didn't make it to Omaha, like some people want to say. I think it's just people miss Pirate baseball when it's not there.
Yeah, it's going to be hard not to watch the games. And I think for us, being media members, we've kind of talked about those seniors too. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like we hang out with them outside of work, but, we do know those guys. I mean, you've interviewed those 3 guys for 5 years now, and the fact that they're gone now really is one of the toughest parts. And the fact that, like you mentioned, it's the season flies by when there's 4 games a week, and you go from 4 to none.
All right, and Robert wanted to know kind of early look at next year. So this is so tough to project because you got the MLB draft, you got incoming class. It's just hard to find info on incoming freshmen. I know that, some of the names, potential impact guys, but also they could get drafted. So as far as what's returning, Jacob Jenkins-Cowart's sophomore. He should be back, obviously. We know that ECU's losing Lane Hoover, Carter Spivey, Garrett Saylor. Josh Moylan, from what I hear, is probably gone. He's just going to be drafted too high, and he's got to go. The ones to watch for me are Jacob Starling, who's a junior, Josh Gross, who's a junior, Carter Cunningham, junior, and I believe there may be one more, Justin Wilcoxon. Those are the 4 that I'm really eyeing going into the draft. They all have draft potential. Do they want to sign and move on for maybe not a ton of money because this is their best leverage year, or do they opt to come back? That could kind of shape ECU's offseason. Beyond that, there's still a lot of talent returning. There's a lot of talent incoming, but those are the names to kind of watch, Philip, going forward.
Yeah, I think so. Those are the ones that you obviously have to watch, but, the last few years we've kind of been blindsided by a guy or 2 here or there, and we didn't expect C.J. Mayhew to leave after last year. So there probably will be one surprise guy, but I definitely think those are the guys you got to look out for. And then there's also the portal. I mean, a guy like Cam Clonch proved how good he was this year, but yet he still wasn't an everyday starter. Now, you think if Josh Moylan does leave, he would take over that first base starting role, but could you have a guy like that hit the portal saying, hey, I'm not getting quite enough playing time here?
Those are the conversations that go on. Also, another guy, Landon Ginn, definitely draft eligible and definitely has good enough stuff to go. So we'll see kind of what happens there. But look, Cliff Godwin always reloads. ECU baseball will be good once again in 2024. But, hey, this was I'm not going to say it was fun because I never like looking back at a season. I wish the Pirates were still playing. But I appreciate Philip Pilkington, his insight. Also, thanks to all the questions. We'll continue to reevaluate the 2023 ECU baseball season in the days ahead. Also continue to preview the football season as we turn the page. You've been listening to Hoist the Colors. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 12 noon.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igoe. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
I'm with my health insurance agent, Bill Jenkins. Bill is an employee benefits specialist and life insurance agent from Town Insurance. Bill, give us an update on Town Insurance here in North Carolina.
Town Insurance is a top insurance and employee benefits agency in North Carolina and ranks in the top 50s nationwide. We have primary offices in Greenville, Kinston, Wilmington, Raleigh, and now Charlotte.
And Bill, what are areas Town Insurance specializes in?
With our experienced account management team, we specialize in employee benefits, including group medical, dental, life, vision, disability, and voluntary options for employees. We compare these options with several of the best carriers in the market and assist businesses on benefit administration as well as employee education and enrollments.
And how can a business best contact you to review their employee benefits program?
Give us a call